Welcome to the Signal PopCast. Today we're going to be talking about Star Wars, The Last Jedi. Full disclaimer, everything we say will probably be a spoiler, so if you haven't seen it yet, make sure you watch it before you listen to this. Today we have some special guests with us. I'm producer Alyssa, and we also have
Rhys, Griffin.
Troyllon Griffin II here, Star Wars specialist. Pleased to be with you all.
Okay, and today, in regards to The Last Jedi, we're first going to kind of go over personal history with Star Wars and our first thoughts on The Last Jedi, and then move from there. So let's start off with our experience with it. So what's your experience with Star Wars? Do you like the games? Do you just watch the movies and read occasional comic book?
I'm basically a guy that watches the movies. That's pretty much how I got started into it. I would definitely say that I saw bits and pieces of the original trilogy before I saw episode 3 in the theaters, and then that's when I started watching them all.
Okay.
And as far as games go, I've played a couple. I haven't read any of the books, but I would definitely say that I would get a chance. And if I get a chance, I'll probably read one.
Yeah, there's a lot of books.
Okay,
Well, the good thing is that, now that they have this new canon, you've only got maybe 6 books to read. Maybe a little more, but, it's honestly they're pick and choose and stuff. But as for me and my Star Wars history and stuff, I am a person who likes the movies. I like the shows, particularly Star Wars The Clone Wars. Rebels, I have not seen in its entirety. And occasionally, I'll check out a comic book or two. But books, especially, I do like reading the books as well. So for me, it's movies, books, and the TV shows. Those are my main 3 Star Wars mediums.
And I'm kind of the same way. I remember growing up watching bits and pieces. I did watch the original 3 I know in full when I was younger, and I saw all but one of the main 6. We're not going too far into that. And I've played multiplayer of Star Wars games, but nothing single player, nothing with the story, which is kind of the important part. And I have some comics, but they're like sealed, and I feel like they're going to be valuable, so I haven't read the comics. Just kind of YouTube videos and stuff. Okay, so what is your favorite Star Wars movie and why?
Well, if I had to pick one Star Wars movie, I would definitely have to say Episode 5. Mainly because that's the one where it gets like the most intense and it's heated. Darth Vader is the main villain. It's not Grand Moff Tarkin. It's not Darth Sidious. That's the one where Darth Vader is the mastermind, basically.
Yeah.
So that's that. I also like the snow speeders and the AT-AT walkers. And it's also the first film with Yoda, so there's that.
I have to agree with him on that one. Like, Empire Strikes Back is probably my favorite, even though, honestly, it changes for me quite a bit. Like, for me, I'm tied between either the 5th one or Episode 4, because to me, when I say Star Wars is, one of my favorite movies, it's hard to say just one. So I just say Star Wars because I could mean any one of them, the whole series, basically. But I think that the 5th one is definitely my favorite, and certainly the best one, without a doubt.
And mine, I'm gonna say 2 things. My number 1 is Rogue One. I know it's kind of a controversial pick because it's not part of the main Star Wars series. It's part of like their new anthology of the universe, or I should say of the galaxy. A New Hope is really close to second, because that's where it starts, and I like when a story starts. But Rogue One had a different tone. Not that I dislike the tone of where they're going with the main 8, but it was just kind of fresh. That it was kind of like a war movie and an espionage in a way. It was a lot more darker, and also the act, in the second act, when they're finally getting the plans, like that's one of my favorite 30 minutes of a Star Wars movie. When they're storming the beaches, it's how you see imagery of storming the beaches of Normandy. That's how you say it, right?
Yeah.
in World War II.
Yeah.
Yep.
And it just calls to, because I really like history, and those scenes remind me of pictures and videos and adaptations I've seen of American and, Earth history. So.
That's an interesting way of putting it.
Yeah. Okay, so first thoughts of The Last Jedi, like initial couple sentences.
Okay, The Last Jedi.
Mm-hmm.
My personal opinion, I would have to say it's pretty average. It's not terrible, but it's not fantastic either. I will say that it does answer your questions, but whether you're going to like them or not is up to you.
Yeah, I think that's definitely how I feel. Like, I feel like this is one of those things where, there are so many different ways you can feel about it to where it's hard to say exactly how, this should be ranked among the other ones. I think it was good. I certainly think it was and everything. I think it does border on the lines where it is possibly great, but there's a lot to be discussed about it.
I'm kind of following where you guys are at. I can see why some people like it. I can see why some people love it. Also, why people hate it. I feel like a lot of things people say about hating it are unjustified, but there is some justification in scenes, and like you said, if there's a lot of questions to be answered, there's no way they're gonna please. They can't please everybody with the answers, and some of them can go so many ways. And we'll get into more in the second half, specific best and weak elements of it. But for now, let's move on to. So when we're going into The Last Jedi, there was a lot of theories that came out after Episode 7, before Episode 7 and after. And what are some theories that you thought were interesting that maybe foiled out or kind of still ambiguous?
The theories that I have, I really want, Snoke to be the main villain, because usually for most stories that I like, if there's going to be a series, there should be a different villain in each story, or at least, it's okay for a villain to appear in more than one story, but they only get one turn of being the main villain. That's how I prefer it. But when they killed off Snoke and they made Kylo Ren the bad guy again, I was like, come on, really? They made Snoke look like a punk, and I was kind of upset about that. But there's a rumor that Snoke could come back because he's manipulating us.
Yeah.
They're trying to manipulate the audience, thinking, okay, Snoke's dead. We'll bring him back as an unexpected thing. And it's like, you never know. They could.
Yeah, I listened to a lot about that the last couple days. Two big ones is it was kind of a projection, like how Luke did at the end of the movie, or that Darth Maul was cut in half, and he came back several times, maybe not in the main story, but in the Clone Wars television show and in the comics, he came back several times. So I kind of want to see his moment too. Like after seeing in The Force Awakens, him, I think when he was he looked really big.
Mm-hmm.
That whole scene was really cool, and it's something. It reminded me of. I should say it reminded me at the clown when he did that. Just I don't know. I want to see him have his moment too.
Well, I personally think that, maybe Snoke really is dead for sure. It would be interesting if they brought him back, but I don't know, I feel like, Snoke was killed because the movie was just trying to really show what kind of movie it's trying to be, how it's trying to be, kind of unpredictable and all that. And I felt like killing Snoke was their way of showing, that this story isn't necessarily about Snoke. Snoke's just a pawn in all of this. And it is more so about, this whole new generation, getting past the Last Jedi, getting to the new Jedi, these new threats and stuff like that. So I have mixed feelings about Snoke getting killed, but him being killed, I think he is dead. But with other theories, can I just say I am happy that Rey's parents are nobodies. I strongly believe that from the start, because it just always was just so surprising. After I watched the movie, people were like, so who do you think Rey's parents are? Oh, Rey's parents are this. And I'm like, why are you guys thinking this? Rey is probably just some average girl. I mean, come on.
There is a reason other than we want to believe that that they're all connected, that we're just going to keep going, that Skywalker Train, is the way it was directed. It wanted you to ask those questions. There was all these little scenes, other people talking about her childhood, her reflecting on it and like searching for that father figure, and Han Solo, and then in this one with Luke. So it's not questionable really of why people expected it to be somebody big. But yeah, I kind of like that it was a nobody. There's still a chance though. For those people that really, really want it to be somebody, there's still a chance because Snoke did manipulate Rey and Kylo Ren into, when they had those really cool scenes where they could see each other. So Kylo Ren may really believe that her parents are nobody, but you can't always rely on your narrator. You can't always rely on the information. He got it as a vision, so could be wrong.
Maybe.
I want it to be right, but you're not.
Yeah, there's another one that's going out around there. Poe and Finn. That just got thrown right out the window with this movie because everyone was like, "Hey, we should see Poe and Finn kiss," and I'm like,
that is.
I get it. Okay, I get that you support the gay community. That's great and all, but I don't think it belongs here. And I'm glad it.
Thank you. It really doesn't. And I feel like this is like one of those things where I don't know if people are familiar with this term, but that whole thing of slash fiction, where people, it's like fan fiction, but they imagine characters that are straight in the show having same-sex relationship with each other. Like when Star Trek was first coming out in the 60s, people wrote all this fan fiction that's called slash fiction, where Kirk and Spock are a thing and stuff like that. Like, I was really surprised people took this Poe and Finn thing seriously. Like me, Finn clearly seems to be after Rey. Now, maybe they're trying to secretly make Poe seem gay, because, maybe, but I just really don't think that they're going to put a homosexual relationship in a Star Wars film. Like, or at least not anytime soon. Maybe they might, but not Poe and Finn. Like, I just really don't think that's for them.
Yeah, Poe doesn't really come off to me as that kind of dude,
Yeah.
He's the cocky pilot flying a space plane, X-Wing. I know that's the correct term, but it looks like a space plane to me. But yeah, he's flying that thing, shooting at everybody, and it's like, there is no way that can be, that kind of thing, unless his ship had a certain shape. I doubt it.
And let's consider also, like, these movies are meant to, make you think of previous times, make you think of classic Hollywood and stuff like that. So when some people are like, oh, well, Poe put his jacket on Finn and stuff like that, I'm like...
You're talking about me.
Well, besides you, this is meant to make you think of a time when you could do stuff like that and people wouldn't think there was a problem with it, but people still come up with these peculiar theories.
Counter argument, I would be the other side, because I was super disappointed. I was team. I'm in a lot of art communities online, and I had seen so much cool fan art. I think I saw the fan art before I saw The Force Awakens, so I kind of already had that vision in my head, and I saw the signs. Maybe it's because you see what you want to see, like perception's reality. But if obviously that's out the window, you're right with the Rose plot. Like little story that they put in to put her and Poe together. I never saw Poe with Rey, maybe Finn with Rey, because I don't really feel like they're developing a romantic relationship with her at all. In the original 3, they didn't really put one in with Luke too much. With Anakin they did, but that was a big part of the story, was for him to have Luke and Leia, so that kind of made sense. So I don't really see Rey being with anybody or needing to be with anybody to complete the story. So, but there always is a romantic relationship, which is why maybe people are looking to supporting characters. Because in the original 3, supporting characters of like Leia and Han, obviously they got together. They had been solo, but for Kylo Ren, but that could be a reason people are looking for it as well. Not just as slasher fiction, but okay, there's always a romantic plot. Who's it gonna be? Because it doesn't have to be Rey. It honestly doesn't have to be any of these 3, but they are going to be doing that with Poe and Rose. Also, the Finn.
Poe and Rose?
Did I say Finn?
Finn and Rose?
I mixed. Okay, everything I said, flip it because. Okay, is it Finn? I thought he was Poe.
No, Finn is black.
Okay, Finn and Rose. Last 3 minutes, just flip it because I mixed them up. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Man, now I lost my train of thought. Okay. Poe, the pilot.
Finn.
If he were to be gay, I don't think that he has to have some stereotypical gay trait. I watched something recently talking about we need more gay villains because gay doesn't have to equate with the good guy. Gay does not have to be equate with flamboyancy or femininity. So if they are going to put one, I would love for it to be one that doesn't have the, what is it called? Doesn't have the, quote, gay checklist of things to be. Doesn't have to be symbolized in like a phallic looking ship. But I'm not super heartbroken. I just wanted to say that it's not.
It's just quite interesting that we're having this talk about a Star Wars movie.
Okay, yeah, let's we have some more stuff to talk about in part 2. We want to talk about our expectations for the upcoming solo movie, expectations on episode 9, as well as some more details into parts of the story. And that's going to be on part 2 of our Star Wars edition of this podcast. If you want to watch part 2, check us out on YouTube under the UHCL Signal YouTube channel, as well as our Facebook page, facebook.com/Signal PopCast. And in the comments, whether you're on Facebook or YouTube, let us know what's your earliest Star Wars memory. So when you're thinking about your earliest Star Wars memory, kind of say like, I watched the prequels and then I watched the original 3. Are you barely getting into it when the Force Awakens came out because everybody was back on Star Wars? Just let us know. Make sure and try and keep it spoiler free. So if your favorite one was The Last Jedi, maybe don't say why. Just say that was your favorite one. And again, our guests are, I'm Alyssa Shotwell.
I'm Rhys Griffin.
And I'm Troyllon Griffin II.
And thank you for listening.